All right, we are back. We had a little technical difficulty, the power of the internet with Miss Haley, the food ninja. So we have her back, and we were talking a little off air while we were getting things set back up that you have also done a little bit of sports nutrition as far as athletes go. What kind of
That's right.
what kind of pros and cons and ups and downs have you dealt with? I know a lot of sports guys, fighters, football players. Some are very what's the word I'm looking at? Superstitious. Some are just
Yeah.
a little nutty. So what kind of experiences have you had with those guys and girls?
Yeah. So, I mean, as I was saying when we are off air, I'm a CrossFit wanker. I know people are either love it or they hate it. I've drunk the CrossFit Kool-Aid. That's how I started off in nutrition. Is I was started CrossFit, and then I started doing these sort of challenges and things, weight loss challenge. That's where I decided to retrain as a nutritionist. So I've dealt with a lot of CrossFitters. So I know CrossFitters are sort of big into paleo and clean eating and all that stuff. So it can be quite challenging in terms of they can sometimes, not all of them, but they can have quite a limited mindset about, what they want to eat. And also CrossFitters are quite good at educating themselves. So quite oftentimes they think they already know a lot about nutrition. So it can be quite challenging to work with in that respect. In terms of questioning you and what you're doing. And that's not to say that you shouldn't question me, right? Just because I'm a nutritionist, it doesn't mean that what I suggest is right for every single person. So they can be a bit challenging in that respect, but also they are very easy to motivate, right? Because if you say to a CrossFitter, do you know what, if you start eating like this, I reckon that I could probably, you could probably put some 10 kilos on your deadlift or whatever. They're all in, they're all over that straight away. They're like, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to do that, because they're so competitive, right? So
Right.
they're quite an interesting bunch to work with. I've also worked with a lot of boxers. So I worked with a professional boxer in Spain called Ivan Bonet Garcia, who's a really nice guy. But yeah, obviously with those kind of athletes and with powerlifting and things, you have the making weight all the time. So for them, it's trying to get them to, because previously they might have been working with other people who condition them to say like, oh, 8 weeks out, we'll start cutting your weight, all that kind of stuff. Whereas actually, if you give them a more long-term strategy, because they do tend to be a bit all or nothing boxers, they will kind of eat shit while they're not training for a fight.
Right.
And they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll sort it out in the 8 weeks that I'm training for the fight. And you're like, well, no, actually, if you had a long-term strategy, you'll be able to make weight without losing quite as much strength because the cut won't be as severe, right? So
Right.
I have that with kickboxers, boxers, that kind of people that I've worked with. So it can be quite challenging, but in general, athletes are easier to work with because they're so competitive. They want to win, and when I was talking before about working with sustainable lifelong, that's why I'm not doing things like meal plans and stuff, because that's not a way to live your life. Whereas with an athlete, I would quite often give them a meal plan, because they're like, they don't give a shit. Like, tell me what to eat and when, so that I can win my fight or my race or whatever, and they will do it. So in that respect, they can be quite easy to coach, because you're just like, do this, and they're like, right, I'm doing it. So yeah, they're an interesting bunch, the athlete community.
Yeah, I used to compete a little bit in mixed martial arts, and I used to compete a little bit, in jiu-jitsu
Mm.
tournaments and stuff like that. And I always found it easier for me to walk around at my competitive weight
Yeah,
because I tried the weight cutting deal. It just didn't work for me. It was just I felt luggish, and I felt like, obviously I made weight, but
yeah,
the thing about making weight is you make weight the day before within 24 hours. Well, that's a hard
yeah.
24 hours to get your energy back up. And so
Yeah,
if you
it's
don't
horrible. You're looking at all that kind of water manipulation and fluid balance and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's not a good place to be.
and they've pushed really hard in the United States about on professional fighters, for example, if testing them more often, so that
Hmm.
because they're really trying to combat the heavy water cut right before a competition, and I think that's across the board with mixed martial
Yeah.
arts and boxing. So I think some people argue it, like high school wrestling coaches argue it because that's what they've been taught for years and years and years, and that's all that
Yeah.
they understand. And so I think the generation change and the mind gap is changing to where a lot of people are understanding the unhealthy things for your kidneys and different things that
Yeah.
affects that.
Yeah.
And I even know some girls that'll do those heavy binge, let's lose weight because it's almost beach time, and they'll just be killing
Yeah.
themselves for
No.
6 weeks.
Yeah, it's horrible. And again, it all comes down to this, this fucked up relationship with food. Like the most extreme example. So I have helped two people prep for a bodybuilding contest, and I refuse to do it. I won't work with people who are prepping for a bodybuilding contest because it's actually, I've also had to coach 4 different people out of, I'm not an eating disorder, but certainly disordered eating. So they do the competition, and they're so conditioned and become so obsessive that they have to be coached out of this kind of horrible disordered eating, really fucked relationship with food. And I personally don't believe that it's a healthy sport in general, and I believe that a lot of people who do that sport leave that with disorder. So I won't prep bodybuilding contestants any longer.
Right. I mean, it's definitely not a longevity sport as far as your heart
No.
problems and kidney issues and different. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they look great when they're 20, 22, 23 years old and their big shoulders ripped and
Yeah.
everything. But if you don't see, it's almost
They
like
look great when they step on that stage, but they feel like shit. Let me tell you,
yeah.
it's the worst. The day before they're, they've cut all like they're on tiny calories, then carb load to pump them up. They're eating sweets and like Haribo and rice. Then they're drinking wine the night before to make themselves more vascular. They're dehydrated the night. Like they feel like shit when they step on that stage. Let me tell you,
Ugh.
what they look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that committed.
I'm not.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm heavy committed to, but I just don't know if I could. That's a lot of time too. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it
That's.
is. Yeah, I value my health more than any kind of feeling that you get from stepping on that stage for sure.
But is it? But maybe it's a mindset when you talk about a conditioned thought. Do you almost put it in when people work on, and we're not going to just bash bodybuilding. We'll just talk about what it takes to get there.
Mhm.
Is the eating? Is it like a bulimic or an anorexic mindset when they're trying to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish?
It's just an really like an obsession with food. I wouldn't say that all of those things you mentioned, the anorexia and the bulimia, like I've seen that in bodybuilding competitors, are facets of all of that. I'm not saying they get a full blown eating disorder, but what happens is because they're cutting their calories so much and they're being so restrictive with their food, it becomes their normal. So when you try and get them to eat normally, they panic and they think it's abnormal because they're so um, and there's a lot of bodybuilding coaches out there who will put client results above their health, and that's another bit of that industry I don't like. I'm not trying to bash that whole industry. There are some people who can successfully do competitions and do them in a structured way, and they can do it in a balanced way. They might do 2 or 3 a year and then they'll eat normally. Don't get me wrong, it takes a ridiculous amount of hard work and dedication to get yourself in that shape. It really does. It's like it becomes their life, hours in the gym, weighing every single bit of food. So it is in a company and I'm not saying that it's not, but I just don't think that enough care is given when people stop doing it. Like, how do they go back to normal? What's the consideration for that? Or they help from a psychological and a physical and a mental perspective?
Like for me, what I would like to do personally is get to a point where, because I grapple a lot, and when I say a lot, 3 to 4 times a week, is
Yeah.
for my age, get the right amount of food with the right amount of energy to where I am competitive, my weight's down, but I'm not skinny. I never want to be
Yeah.
lanky. I'm kind of a thick guy, but not a fat guy. I'm kind of somewhat
Yeah.
muscular, and I want to keep my muscle and I want to keep my strength, especially when you're trying to fight off a guy that's 15, 20 years younger than you and strong that's trying to choke you.
Yeah.
You definitely want to have strength, and I'm always.
I don't know. That's quite appealing to me.
We should, I could go many directions with that, but yeah, but yeah, that's for me. That's what I look for, is somebody that is the right amount of food, and just to keep up my strength and keep healthy and be able to get around
Yeah.
and all that good stuff, because I like certain. I'm gonna admit many things here. I like certain energy drinks from time to time. I like a little Red Bull, especially if you throw vodka in it,
Yeah.
and and different things like that. But I do try to stay away from it. And for us,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have this here, but in the southern U.S., one of the big things is sweet tea. Do you do sweet tea?
We don't have it, but I have been to I've been to New Orleans. Sorry, I said that wrong, didn't I? New Orleans. So I've been there, and I've had, and I've also been. Where else? I travelled around America when I was 25, quite a long time ago. Was it 25? So yeah, I've been all along the south. So I tasted sweet tea, but we don't really have it over here as a drink.
Well, I'm in the South. I don't know if I told you that. I'm in.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, Alabama, right?
Yeah, Alabama. We're in. We pronounce it Birmingham, but my friend Mike says it's Birmingham, and so
Birmingham.
yeah.
Yeah, because we have a Birmingham here too.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're in little history lessons. We are named after Birmingham from the UK because of our steel industry.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, learn something new every day.
That's right. That was the connection. It's all based off the industrial thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sweet tea is can be my vice, if you will, but especially if the sweet tea is good. And for some people, that means their teeth cringe when they drink it because it's so sweet.
Oh, that's just my teeth hurt when you're saying that.
That's right, but that's conditioning growing up. That's when you grow up with sweet tea, and I don't drink it all the time. Don't get me wrong, but I probably drink it probably 3 times or so a week, which isn't really bad compared to some people. Some people drink it 3 times or more a day. But it's just
that's a really good example of what I was saying earlier about having to consider all facets of people's health when you're giving them nutrition advice. Because if I said to you, hey, do you know what, Chris, you need to stop drinking that now, you need to stop it immediately, what I'm considering there is your emotional connection and your great memories that you have and all that kind of, that you associate with that drink. So for me to sort of impose that on you, that's probably going to make you quite sad, because it's not just a drink to you, right? It's part of your culture. It's also something you had when you were a kid, that kind of stuff. So that's an example of where you have to try and, facilitate that, because that's something that's important to someone. Right.
Yeah, it's a weird mindset, and it's something that I commend you. Teaching people to change their mindset is got to be one of the most tough things that you could ever do.
It is. It really is though. I love that aspect of it. So yeah, I mean, there's no point just having the nutrition knowledge and being able to teach people about that if you can't teach them how to apply it. I might as well just give you a textbook if I'm going to be one of those sort of nutritionists. A textbook and a meal plan. That's not going to work. We all do it, don't we? We all take in so information overload. There's so much knowledge out there these days, but we just don't apply it. So I have to help people apply it by working on their mindset too. Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I feel like I'm more of a group learner than by myself, and I think a lot of people may be the same way, to where you throw down all this information in front of them and they just start glossing over, and I think if somebody, just a sweet voice like yours in their ear going, no, if you do, let's try to do this, or let's attempt that. I think that is a huge difference. But people are afraid to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? People, I don't know if it's an embarrassment thing, or if it's a lack of self-confidence thing, or whatever it is, but it amazes me where people, not all people, but a lot of people on all different things, they're afraid to ask, hey, what do you think about this? And then some people, well, you got to sign up for my 6 months course before I even respond to your email, and it's like, Jesus Christ, I just asked a simple question, And I think that's another reason why people get a little nervous about asking people. They feel like they're going to get emails full of, try my 6-day program, my 90-day program, my 120-day program.
My 5-day free challenge. That's the latest thing, isn't it? Oh, a 5-day free challenge, and get you in a Facebook group. Sell. Yeah, I don't like that side of it. I mean, I think people are afraid to ask for help, partly because of the internet. Because the internet's there, people think they should know everything about everything, right? So they're like, oh, I'm going to look stupid if I ask this, or so there's, I was talking about, the different areas of my industry. There is a particular part of my industry, which is that kind of, I hate that kind of like sergeant major kind of boot camp, like, hey, you're stupid because you're eating this, and all that kind of like making people feel stupid because they don't know what to eat, and you just have to do what I say, do this, hard work, grind all this crap, right? You've got that aspect, which also makes people not want to ask for help because they're just worried that someone's going to say that they're stupid. But equally, you have to, what I try and do is I just try and put good information out there. Like, I love creating content, I love writing. A lot of my Facebook posts are all those, the really long form ones that people are like, fucking, I should write a massive long Facebook post again. But I just love putting the information out there. So I'm quite happy to do that. I'm not one of those people who's kind of like, oh, I want to tell everyone. I tell everyone my secret, right? I have these 3 fat loss principles, which is I call eat, meet, and neat, right? So eat is eat the right amount of calories. Meat is the right amount of protein. For any vegans that are triggered out there, tofu doesn't rhyme with eat and neat, so tough, it says meat. And then neat is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? Which sounds very fancy, but it just means steps, moving around, like that's not structured exercise. So housework, gardening, going for a walk, taking your kids to the park, all that kind of stuff. Those are my 3 principles. If you do these 3 things, if you eat the right amount of calories, eat the right amount of protein, and increase your non-exercise activity, you will lose weight. I tell everyone that for free. That's fine. I don't care. You can find it on the internet. Everything you can find on the internet. But what I give people is support and accountability, and that's why people don't do things, because it's hard to do stuff on your own.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's in every facet of life. You'll get your 1%ers that are just machines, but I would say a large majority of us, and I'll be the first to raise my hand, guilty. Being held accountable has helped me more than anything else. Are you going to do this? Yes, I'm going to do it, I promise. And you have to look you in the face and go, yeah, I did it, or I didn't do it. So
exactly. It's the same for everyone, right? So with I'm not trying to be salesy here, but with my package that I have when I work with people, they have unlimited support, accountability. And when I tell people that, they're like, really? And I'm like, yes, right? If you choose to invest in me to help you with your goals, you better believe I'm invested in you, right? I'm not going to be half-assed about it. Right? You get full ass. So I'm going to do everything I possibly can for you to reach your goal. I'm in a really fortunate position, right? I can choose who I work with. I don't work with assholes. I have a call with people, right? If I don't like them or we don't gel, I don't work with them. I'm not horrible. I just say, look, I think, I know someone else who might be able to help you, or recommend them to someone else. And that's because I do give this, like, I've actually been called the most unprofessional nutritionist ever. This is a true story. So this was in a Facebook group. So I get really emotionally attached to my clients. I don't give a shit, right? I don't care if I'm professional, because I work with people that I really love. I want them to achieve their goals, and I'll do anything to help them. So I'm friends with all my clients on Facebook. I'm always putting like stupid comments on their statuses, all this kind of stuff. And I'm in a Facebook group with a load of other nutritionists, those like professional accreditation things. And we were talking about boundaries with clients. And I said something like, my clients are fine. I give them unlimited support, but assholes, so they don't phone me up at midnight, so that's fine. And someone else commented underneath and said, yeah, I've seen the way that you are with your clients on social media. Don't you think it's a bit unprofessional? And I was like, I don't give a fuck what you think. Like, all of my clients get amazing results. Who gives a shit how I get them? They get the results, they're happy, and I equally have my downtime kind of thing. So I'm fine with it, they're fine with it, butt out, basically. So I told all my clients this in my Facebook group, and now that's what they call me, is the most unprofessional nutritionist ever.
Well, I think I think that if you aren't comfortable with your clients, if you don't get that vibe that you can communicate with them commonly, if you will, then they may not be a good client for you. And I think a lot of people are so scared, if you will, to deal with people, and they think that, oh, I got to create these walls, I got to create these things. Well, then they don't feel, then you're not approachable in some sense.
No.
You're almost,
exactly.
I would almost feel like, well, I can't call Haley because she's going to hit me up for another $19.99 for this phone call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important, right, to just, not a lot of people have made comments about my content and my social media, because obviously you can see from talking to me, I swear quite a lot. I am probably quite unprofessional in my approach in terms of the way I talk about nutrition, that kind of thing. But I'm like that on social media, because this is me, this is what I'm like, this is how I talk. So I'm not going to present this kind of super professional corporate speak content, because I did a video and I put it on LinkedIn, right? I hate library, isn't it? But I'm on there because there's a lot of business owners on there, right? So I put a video up and it was talking about, it was actually some really useful content. And someone commented underneath and said, I really love your content, it's a shame about the language. And I commented underneath and I was like, well, this is how I talk in real life. So it's better you know that now, because then if you approach me to start working with me and I started talking like this, you'd be a bit fucking shocked, right? You'd be like, shit. And we gel. So by me being myself on social media, I'm attracting the kind of people who think, oh, she seems like she's quite approachable and easy to get on with. That's the kind of person that I want to work with. So you already filter out people that are not your people, basically.
And it's funny that you said that, because I told my wife that was what drew me to you. There's two things that drew me to you. Your shirt that says brains are the new tits, because I like tits.
I should have wanted yeah.
And I have this weird thing where I like girls that say fuck. I don't know what it is. It's my weird kink, maybe.
Is it like a sausage thing? I wish you'd mentioned that as a
I know. I don't know what it is. That's some people have weird shit that triggers them in a positive way, and just something about girls that say fuck, but not fuck like in a mean way. You say it in such a sweet way, and it just makes my ear, it raises my ears.
Accent.
I was like, oh, I like that. So I was like, I got to see if this girl will come on, and so, but yeah, that was it. But it did what you just said. It filtered out. I knew what I was getting, and
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Was somebody that I felt like if I said something, because I cuss a lot, probably I try to tone it down
Yeah.
sometimes, because when I first started doing the podcast, I realized, man, I cuss a lot, and so I had to so I had to really dial it back to a nice happy
Yeah.
medium. But I tell people that I don't trust anybody that doesn't cuss. I feel like they're not giving me their true self.
Yeah. I think they're holding something back, right?
Yeah. So if you come at me and you're like absolutely straight line, nothing, I'm like, what do you do if you bang your finger? You go, oh, geez, I can't do that. Yeah. I need somebody to start cussing, it's like, damn it, so that was one of the great things that I liked about you. I felt like you were a real person,
Thank you.
and so
Thank you.
so what we'll wrap this one up. This is the second part, and we've done a good job. Give us a little bit about how anybody watching this can, or listening to this, because I do audio and video. How can they get in touch with you, and if they're serious? I'll put this disclaimer out for you. Do not inundate Haley with a bunch of bullshit. If you are serious about yourself, male, female, whatever, I think this is the lady for you. I like her personality, and I think that you should contact her. So, Haley, how can they contact you and see if you're the right person for them?
Cool. So, first of all, if you do message me with bull messages, I screenshot that shit and use it for content. So, do it at your peril, first of all. But so I am on social media. So I Facebook page is called Food Ninja Nutrition, which is / so facebook.com/I am the Food Ninja. I am quite happy for people to add me on my personal Facebook profile, Haley Field, on there. Or I have Instagram, which is I am the Food Ninja. So you can DM me on any of those. Or if you're more formal and like email, I'm Haley@foodninja.online.
Oh.
Quite a lot of info there.
That's good.
And basically what happens, if people want to know, if you contact me initially and say that you're interested in working together, I will book a Skype call and we'll have a nice long chat. There's no obligation at all, but I like to get to know and see if they're the kind of people that that I want to work with, and equally that I can actually help you, because there are some people where they might be more suited to working with someone, and I have a list of people that I've got recommendation wise if that happens. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, what we're going to do is I want you to stay online, and I'm gonna finish the show out with a little bit of bed music that we got. And but if you'll stay online with me, I want to hit you offline for a couple things and go from there. But it was great having you on.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for asking me. It's my first American podcast.
Oh, well, let's try to get you on a lot more then.
It'll be amazing. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna get this music out, and then I'll be right with you.
Okay, thanks.